My fiancé of 10 years suddenly came home with another man. She said he was the love of her life. She wanted me to vacate the house my parents left me so it could be her and this man's marital home. She even wanted me to give her my savings and the compensation from my parents' death as her dowry. When I asked why, her only answer was, "Because you love me, right?" When Molly repeated that she now had someone she loved and only saw me as a brother, I felt like she was tearing my heart apart. We'd been engaged since we were kids, practically inseparable for 10 years, only a wedding away from being married. How had I suddenly become her brother? But Molly looked at me as if it was no big deal, not realizing how wrong it was to ask me for everything I owned. "We've been living together," she explained. "Jason would misunderstand, so I told him you're my brother." It was as if she was trying to explain, but her next sentence just felt ridiculous. "Besides, isn't it normal for a brother to give his sister a dowry when she gets married?" She continued, "I know you have money. Didn't your parents leave you a house and some cash? You wouldn't be so stingy with me, right?" I looked at Molly, my chest tight with emotion. "Why on earth should I give you the house and money?" Molly could not love me, betray me, and marry someone else. But how could she so shamelessly covet the money my parents died for? Plus, my parents' deaths were her parents' fault. Does she really not feel guilty using this money? "You always said you loved me. I thought you were willing to sacrifice for me, that you wouldn't mind giving up these worldly things." Molly leaned closer, reminding me of the promises I made. "You said you loved me, that you'd give everything for me, even your life." "I'm not asking for your life, just a bit of money. Don't you want to do that for me? You've told me this house would be my home. I just want you to keep your promise. Why won't you agree?" Molly seemed confused as to why I wouldn't just give her everything. I just looked at her and everything behind her. This house where I'd lived my whole life. This was the home my parents left me, the most important place. Molly and I had lived here for 10 years. I thought we'd get married one day, making this naturally her home, our shared home. But now, she wanted me to leave, to fulfill her and her lover's dream of living together, being a family here. How could she? So selfish, so cruel, trampling on my love like this. She made me feel like a wrongdoer, but I hadn't done any wrong. If I made a mistake, it was falling deeply in love with Molly. I thought our 10 years together meant something special, that she'd love me back and be with me forever. But it was all my imagination. "This is my parents' house, Molly. I'd rather die than give it to you. I won't, ever." Feeling like my heart was being cut open, I looked at Molly, steady but firm. Molly frowned, clearly upset. But in the end, she said nothing else, just sighed. "Don't regret what you said today." I didn't understand why, considering she was the one asking for a favor, she acted so haughtily. With her head high, it seemed she was certain I'd regret it. But why should I regret it? It's my home. This is the home my parents left me, all mine, and I just don't want to give it to Molly. What mistake have I made? Molly laughed and changed the topic, glaring at me with a look full of disdain and mockery, as if I were a dog. "I'd rather Jason not know about our relationship. Can you understand, brother?" That single word, brother, cut the ties of our many years together, our childhood engagement and decade of togetherness. The spontaneous kisses and instinctive hand-holding, everything was a joke. Feeling dizzy, I finally had to admit, Molly truly didn't want me anymore. "Fine, fine, fine." I smiled and nodded, pushing down the pain. Since this is what Molly wants, I'll let her have it. I agreed. All our past memories faded, becoming yesterday's shadow. From now on, there'd be no ties between us. I was losing her for good. Although my heart was full of pain and reluctance, I forced myself to stay calm, urging myself, "It's okay," trying to act generous, but failing to hide how pathetic I felt, which just made me a joke in Molly's eyes. But Molly won't let it be easy for me, even using her actions to get back at me. Molly brought Jason back home, into the bedroom she's always slept in. 10 years ago, when Molly moved in, I let her have the master bedroom that belonged to my parents. They always said a girl shouldn't suffer. The master bedroom had a balcony, faced south, was bright and spacious. So I've been in the small room all these years, never wanting Molly to feel wronged. The most I thought was that when we got married, I'd move in there, and when we had kids, they'd sleep in my small room. This 2-bedroom house, where I've lived since birth, was supposed to be our happy future. But today, Molly brought another man home. Into the place I cherished, into the master bedroom where my parents slept. Molly was so cruel, unhesitatingly destroying all that was beautiful. Jason didn't know about my history with Molly. He really thought I was her brother, so he called me that, too. Jason sheepishly told me he'd recently lost his job. He had nowhere to stay, so he tagged along with Molly to crash at my place. He said not to worry, he'd be out soon. Then him and Molly would find their own place. It wouldn't be long. My mind went numb, and I barely heard a word Jason said. I couldn't tell if this was real or if I was just in a bad dream. Molly stood behind Jason, clinging to his arm. She smiled at me, a smug smile. Jason moved into Molly's room, arranging his stuff. He acted like he owned the place. And why not? It was his girlfriend's home. He had every right. I was just the older brother with no say in the matter. What right did I have? Anyway, if my sister had found someone she liked, about to get married even, I should be happy for her, right? I should wish Molly happiness. I shouldn't stand in her way. No ill will toward my future brother-in-law, that's not like me. But what kind of brother was I, really? Why should I be happy for her? I dragged Molly into my room, seething. My chest heaved with anger. I looked at Molly like she was some demon straight out of hell. Even though she smiled all sweet and beautiful. Why was she so cold-hearted? It was almost laughable. Molly stepped closer, her face full of malice. I'd seen that look too many times before. I used to think it was cute, but now I saw it for what it was, pure spite. Brother, what are you gonna do to me? She sneered. This isn't cool. My boyfriend's right in the next room. I stepped back, glaring at her. You and your boyfriend need to move out now, Molly. This is my house, and I don't want you here. Molly's smile vanished. She frowned at me like I was nothing, like a piece of trash. Billy, how dare you? 10 years ago, you brought me here saying this was my home. Breaking promises now? You're the one who broke promises, Molly. Don't forget we had a deal since we were kids. She was the one who ditched me. She was the one who wanted out first. I had no words. We were technically engaged. A promise made when we were young and probably didn't mean a thing now. I had nothing that could hold her down. If she wanted out, let her go. No point in holding on to something that didn't want to stay. A forced love just ain't sweet. I understood that. If Molly didn't want me, she could leave. Why make things awkward under my roof? Why rub salt in the wound? I didn't get why Molly was doing this. I had no clue how awful she could be. Once again, she came closer. We were close enough I could hear her breathe. I clumsily stepped back, trying to quell feelings I'd carried for 10 years. Then Molly said something that chilled me to the bone, sparking a rage inside me. This woman I once loved left me shocked. Molly's smug words, Billy, don't forget your dad saved me. If it wasn't for him, I'd have been dead 10 years ago. You owe it to him to take care of me, or else he died for nothing. Wanna let him down? What if he's up there regretting that I didn't end up with you? That the person he saved became someone else's wife? Would he think he died for nothing? My hand raised uncontrollably, ready to strike, but years of restraint held me back. I couldn't harm her, and my upbringing wouldn't allow it. But Molly crossed a line, speaking of my dad like that, of her own savior. Just then, the door opened, and Jason rushed in, startled. He quickly shielded Molly behind him. Bro, even if Molly did something wrong, talk to her. Don't resort to violence. She didn't have anyone before, not like she has me to stand up for her now. Their romance seemed so deep. How chivalrous Jason was. They truly seemed like a match made in heaven. I felt suddenly drained, watching Jason lead Molly out of the room. Molly's earlier words echoed in my head. My thoughts drifted back to a fire from a decade ago. Dad sacrificed himself to save Molly. Both our families shared a deep bond, but more so because it was Dad's duty. He was a firefighter, a great man, and my hero. Dad and Molly's father were best friends. Before Molly and I were even born, our marriage was set in stone. We grew up together, always side by side, same preschool, same grade school, even the same high school. We assumed it was our destiny to stay together for life until we were 15, right after exams, figuring out which high school to go to next. A half hour after I'd dropped Molly at her doorstep, smoke soared high. There was a fire at her place. Turns out, Molly's dad had a mistress, and Molly's mom, overwhelmed with anger, went to extremes, wanting the whole family to perish. My dad was the firefighter in our area. He rushed into the flames, saving only Molly. Her parents didn't make it. He gave his mask to Molly, inhaled too much smoke, and later died in the hospital. Mom was so devastated. She fell ill and passed away 6 months later. That year, Molly and I both became orphans. The difference was I had my parents' estate, while Molly's family was left with debts because the fire affected the neighbors upstairs and downstairs. Her parents' savings were almost all gone to repay these debts, and she was struggling even to go to school. None of her relatives wanted her, while some of my distant relatives wanted to take over my parents' estate and even offered to take me in. I refused them but couldn't turn away Molly. She came to me, tears streaming down, saying she had no choice and was left all alone with no place to even eat. For a while, she was shuffled around by relatives and was about to become homeless. At that time, I was alone too. In a moment of weakness, I agreed. We were in similar situations and had been engaged since childhood. Having grown up together, I couldn't ignore her, even though sometimes I hated her because her parents caused my parents' deaths. But I tried to be logical, constantly reminding myself that Molly was also a victim and had nothing to do with her parents' actions. She didn't want them to behave that way or to lose her parents overnight and become an orphan. Since then, Molly and I relied on each other. We were kids and people tried to bully us. To hold on to what my parents left me, I cut ties with all my relatives. From then on, it was just the two of us. In high school, we naturally went to the same school and, as young kids, didn't talk much about love. We went to the same university too, staying local instead of going far. We'd go home together on weekends to eat, living a simple but sweet life. In time, everything like holding hands and kissing felt natural, like it was meant to be. I grew used to it, thinking it was all so obvious. But now Molly tells me it was all fake. She won't marry me. Genuine feelings are rare, and hearts change. I'm not one to force things, but she knows the house is important to me, and that money was my dad's sacrifice. Yet she still demands them. Since then, Molly and Jason started flaunting their affection in front of me. She's pushing me to the edge, wanting me to kick her out in a fit of anger. But of course, she won't leave easily. She has nowhere to go. After working for 3 years, Molly barely earned enough to cover her expenses and has no savings. If I kick her out, she has nowhere else to go, and her boyfriend is no different. They're set on freeloading off me, hoping I'll leave the house for them out of frustration. But why should I? I might lose Molly and whatever love there was, but I won't lose the money and house my parents left me. That's my bottom line. I'm determined to kick Molly and Jason out. It's my house. Why should they stay here? I can overlook Molly's past, and all the money I spent on her over years, but I'm not obligated to support her forever. Am I supposed to watch them live their lives here? What if they have kids? Do I need to support them too? I owe her nothing. Seeing my resolve, Molly gets furious and tries to use our past to soften me, but she doesn't get it. As long as Jason is here, and they're flaunting their relationship, those emotions won't soften me. They'll only harden me. They constantly remind me I'm a fool, being played again and again. I gave Molly an ultimatum to leave within 3 days. I even kindly allowed time to find a place and move. It's my home, and if I have to force her out, there's nothing she can do. But the next day I got a medical report. Molly had dragged me for a checkup some time back, and I'd almost forgotten about it. Opening it was like receiving a death sentence. I have cancer. Thinking it was a regular package, I opened it in the living room. There it was, in black and white, a verdict from death. Molly stood behind me and glanced at it. She suddenly laughed oddly. "Oh, you're going to die, huh?" Molly laughed, looking excited, showing no concern or anxiety for me. I was baffled. We grew up together. She can love someone else, but how can she be thrilled about my death? Felt like seeing a madwoman. My hands trembled uncontrollably holding the report. Her laughter stabbed at my heart, twisting the knife, leaving my heart in shreds. Molly scoffed. See, this is your karma. I told you to transfer your house to me, but you refused. And now this is your retribution. You're going to die. What's the use of clinging to that money now? Billy, this is your punishment for being stingy. When your dad passed away, he left nearly $1 million, right? But all these years, you'd rather work than let me spend that cash. Didn't see this coming, did ya? Now, you're on the brink of death, and I want to see what good that money does you. Are you planning to spend it 6 feet under? It's hilarious, really. What goes around comes around, and you're getting yours big time. Molly kept yapping, but she looked more twisted to me by the second. I think even a stranger would show some concern if they knew I might kick the bucket. But Molly? She's spewing the nastiest curses, believing I brought all this on myself. She thinks I deserve it. When I just stayed quiet, she smugly grinned. Finally, when she stopped laughing, she turned to me, all arrogant like, "Okay, bro, you're about to die. Just hand over your house and cash. After all these years together, when you kick it, I might just help with your burial outta the goodness of my heart. Wouldn't want you to die all alone and stinking up some corner of the city. That's just bad for everyone, you know? Thanks, but no thanks." I watched Molly clench her teeth in frustration. How laughable so-called years of ties relying on each other. It was all just a charade. Just someone plotting all along, and there's no meaning in that. Molly, rest assured, even if I donate every penny, give it all away, you're not getting a dime. A house worth $300,000, nearly $100,000 in savings, $400,000 in total. That's what turned Molly into someone else, or maybe she was always like this underneath. Now she's showing her true colors. So vile. You're dying? Can't you just do this for me? Molly screamed hysterically. Guess I really let her down by not giving her the money. But I planned to let her down. I'm not fulfilling her wishes. Cancer's not necessarily a death sentence. But Molly acted like I was a goner for sure. She didn't think I might need that money for treatment. All she wanted was to get her hands on it. At that point, my heart was completely shut off to her. I stopped being soft. I kicked Molly and Jason out. Molly hurled insults at me, cursed me to die soon. But even if I do, she's not getting her way. After they were gone, it was just me all alone in the house. Felt kinda sad. Dad, Mom, I miss you guys. Back when I graduated college, I proposed to Molly. She said yes, wore the ring. But then she claimed we were too young to marry, needed to focus on our careers. I agreed to delay it. 3 years went by. She didn't marry me. Instead, she got someone else and wished I'd just die. It's really funny, isn't it? And now I've got this terminal illness. Maybe her curse did work. Yet, even so, I'm not ready to just give up on life. I want a shot at fighting for it. The money was what Dad left behind when he died, so I never intended to spend it, even when times were tough. But maybe now's the time to use it. So off to the hospital I went for a thorough checkup. Turned out the doctor told me I wasn't sick at all. That report was fake. I thought something was up since it took forever for that report to come. The doctor said someone already took it, and that person was Molly. Laughable, right? Now I see what's up. She snagged my report and then faked one to make me think I was terminal. Just to swindle my money. Lucky for me, I didn't fall for it. I changed the locks, made sure Molly couldn't step inside my house again. She's got her precious love now, even if she's broke. Love, they say, can fill the belly. She and Jason are a match made in heaven. So perfect, they won't come bothering me again. Yet, not even 2 weeks later, Molly's at my door, asking for a truce, no less. She's crying, looking all shattered, beyond desperate. Seems pitiful. Last time she looked this pathetic was when her parents died. Then she came to me, saying she had no one else, begging me to take her in, to not abandon her. Back then, she'd sworn her love and loyalty. Now she wants to play me with the same old tricks, telling me Jason's just a con man, lazy, living off her, that he hit her when she couldn't con me out of money. Turns out Jason knew about us all along, not just siblings. He was fine with it as long as Molly got my assets. But she failed, and so he turned on her. They fought just like Molly's parents did. Jason beat her up, kicked her to the curb, and here she was running back to me just like 10 years ago. She looked so helpless then, and I really did feel bad for her. Back then, because she was my dad's last wish, I went soft on her. I'd suffer just to keep her safe. But now, looking at Molly, I can't even muster an ounce of softness. I just feel disgusted. I gave her a little smile and said, "Molly, you know what? I went to the hospital a few days ago." Molly's hand shook, and seeing her like that made me want to laugh more. I told her outright, "I found out I'm not sick. I found out you lied to me. I found out how gross you are. So why do you think I'd ever soften towards you again? Doing something stupid once is excusable. Young people make mistakes and it's understandable. But if stupidity becomes a pattern over and over, it loses any sense. I don't think I'm particularly smart, but I'm also not going to let myself repeatedly do dumb things. That just shouldn't happen. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Billy, won't you forgive me? Brother, you promised you'd protect me for life. I was just momentarily reckless. I don't even know why I did those things. I regret it now, I really do. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Molly cried her heart out, tears falling in big drops. It's the kind of cry that would have softened me up in the past. As a kid, every time she cried, I'd use my allowance to buy her treats. A little older, and I'd risk getting in trouble to stand up for her, fighting off anyone who bullied her. When her parents died and she cried, I took her into my home, giving her a decade of devotion like an unwavering shelter. But now, seeing her cry feels like crocodile tears to me. Behind the pitiful facade, there's a carnivorous plant waiting to devour me, so I won't feel sympathetic. I pushed Molly away, quietly watching her. "Molly, I don't know which of your words were genuine in those 10 years and which were lies. But I don't care about that anymore. Everything you've given me feels so vile, so much so that the truth or lies don't matter. I just want to stay far away from you. I just want you out of my life." I shut the door, ignoring her hysterical cries. Seeing me so unyielding, she started yelling through the door. As expected, her tears were just for show. She doesn't truly feel sorry for what she did. Her feigned vulnerability is just a weapon to soften me up. "Billy, you're a stingy bastard. What kind of man is so tight-fisted? You're so frugal and you're shameless enough to say you love me? Is that how you show love? You disgust me to no end. Why don't you just die? I wish you really had cancer, wish you were really dying. Do you know how much I hate you? You think you're something special? Let me tell you, someone as stingy as you doesn't deserve love in this life." Her words meant nothing to me. Why bother responding? I sure didn't give her free rein over the money my dad worked himself to death for. But I didn't starve her, either. I haven't bought myself new clothes for years, but Molly's always dressed nice. I've been eating cheap takeout while she gets gourmet meals. In college, all my part-time earnings and scholarship money went to her. After getting a job, I worked crazy overtime to give her a better life. I tried my absolute best to give her a home, to give her happiness, to make her feel right being with me. But why did she have to treat me like this? Molly, tired of yelling, started crying about how pitiful her life was, about losing her parents. Then she'd go back to cursing me, calling me a liar. Wasn't I good enough to her all these years? I gave her everything I could without expecting anything in return. We've never even been physically close. What more does she want? I remembered the times Molly stayed with Jason next door, hearing certain sounds that I'd never heard from her before. Another man got what I never did, and that bitter pain, I've swallowed it all. Yet Molly still dares criticize me. On what grounds? Molly kept yelling, "I hate you. I hate all of you. Why did my parents have to leave? Why did they try to kill me? Why did only your dad save me and not my parents? Why does everyone care for you after losing parents? But I get nothing but harm and scolding. Why say you love me when you won't give me anything? It's because you think I'm without protection, so you mistreat me. And Jason, why did you deceive me? I liked you so much. Why on earth? Why? When I loved you so much, treat me this way. I hate you. I hate all of you. To me, her so-called hatred sounded like noise. I've long since stopped caring. Seeing she got nowhere with me, Molly stormed off, and I finally booted her from my life. Maybe it's luck, but I came across a good investment opportunity. This time, I didn't hesitate and put my savings in. I took a gamble, hoping for a good outcome. 6 months later, the project paid off. I was being called a boss. Another 6 months, and I bought a new place downtown. The old house was good, but held too many memories. The first 15 years with my parents were beautiful, but the next 10, filled with Molly, were too disgusting. So I chose to move into a new home, but I never expected to see Molly again. Apparently, after she and Jason split up, Jason kept showing up and causing trouble at her workplace. Eventually, Molly got fired. She hadn't done much over the years, hadn't progressed in her career, and now, she found it hard to get a suitable job. She ended up working as a waitress at a restaurant. When she saw me in a suit, walking with some business partners, her eyes were full of resentment. This time, I looked at her calmly. A secret satisfaction rose within me. If Molly hadn't betrayed me back then, if we were still together, she'd be sharing all this with me now. But that's no longer the case. Half a year later, I met a girl I really liked. Turns out getting married isn't that hard. As long as two people genuinely like each other, everything moves quickly. On the wedding day, somehow Molly found out and crashed the event. I was greeting guests at the entrance when she stormed towards me. Seeing the crazy look in her eyes, I quickly stepped back. I was shocked to see a knife in her hand. She was ready to take us both down, just like her mom had done back in the day. Molly screamed maliciously, "If you don't love me, then die." But when had she ever truly loved me? I just found the woman before me despicable, with not a hint of the charm she once had. I couldn't understand why I ever liked her, or for so many years. The security guards pulled her away, and Molly ended up getting handcuffed by the police. This time, she was facing time behind bars. I won't forgive her. I won't choose to let her off the hook. She will pay for what she's done. Everyone should be held accountable, no exceptions. And in my future, there will be another woman. We'll love each other genuinely and walk through life together.